Hi guys, my name's Max Glickman. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and my site is Klung Jantaburi, Thailand, about 40 kilometers from the border of Cambodia. I'm group 128, and I am a teacher, collaborator, and community service volunteer. So I identify as a gay male, and I'm a Jew. So kind of double, you know. I really wanted an international experience because I'd really like to go into nonprofits and building capacity for international nonprofits. And I thought that the Peace Corps was a really good kind of avenue to bring me some experience in that. So my parents came to visit, and I took them to my site, and it was really cool because I was a little bit nervous. I knew my parents were gonna like it, but I didn't know, I thought my parents would be like, this is so cool, let's leave. But we went to my host mom's house, and we had an amazing feast. My host mom has not cooked that much food since I've been here. And there was hugging and kissing, and Thai people aren't particularly demonstrative, especially to the opposite sex or people they don't know. So it was really cool to see my host mom like hug my mom. It was pretty cool, and hug me and like thank my mom for letting me come. It was really, really cool. So sharing that cross-cultural experience was really amazing. Whew. So my identity has impacted pretty much every aspect of my service, especially what I'm interested in focusing on at my site. A lot of what I want to focus on are like gender norms, and a lot of things I focus on in my classroom have to do with LGBTQ lifestyle and gender norms and kind of creating equal access and equal opportunity for those of us who identify differently. Because in Thailand, especially rural Thailand, gay men and lesbians are accepted if they choose to live as the opposite gender. So if they choose to live as a transgender. So if I chose to live as a woman, which would be called a lady boy, I would be perfectly accepted by the community. But since I choose to live my life as a male, I identify as male, but I also identify as a man who wants to have sex with men. It's a little bit weird. People don't know how to approach me. I've definitely gotten people saying, well, your kind aren't respected. And my response to that is, well, thank you for letting me know, but I expect to earn your respect, not be given respect based on the fact that I'm a male who has sex with women, or be given less respect because I'm a man who wants to have sex with men. So I do a lot of stuff like that in my classroom, especially with the boys and girls that I can see are being pushed into ladyboy or tom, which is a girl who identifies as a man. I see a couple of my second graders and first graders who are getting their hair cut really short, which is not normal. For girls getting their hair cut really short, which is not necessarily normal in Thailand. It really is kind of the first step to being pushed into tomhood. So kind of making sure that they feel comfortable where they are in the classroom, I don't necessarily do boy and girl activities, I do activities like just different groups. So I'd also really like to do some work with HIV/AIDS in my next year for my second year project. My service has definitely impacted the way I view myself, not necessarily the way I identify. I still identify as a gay male Jew. But the way I view myself has definitely changed, and that has to do with a lot of the work that I've done in like being alone but not lonely. Kind of how do you work with people of a different culture? How do you kind of go about dealing with differences, differences of opinion, power structure? That has all really changed for me, and I think has helped me grow a lot, and I'm really excited to see how it impacts how I view Westerners when I go home. gonna be weird. So the first thing I do when I get a challenge at site is I say, well, what's my locus of control? Because in the United States, I want everything to be in my locus of control, and I push and I push and I drive myself nuts, and I force things into my locus of control. But here, that actually, I mean, one, that's just not a good thing to do in general. But here I have to ask myself, like, how important is this to me? Do I want this within my locus of control? And if I do want it in my locus of control, what's the trade-off going to be to get it so that I can control it? Or can I just let it go and work on what is in my locus of control and make that better and design exactly the camp I want, or work on my classroom the way I want it to be worked on within my boundaries? You know, if my principal wants something or my counterpart wants something, do I really want to fight that? Is that good for the relationship? Is that good for me? Is that good for the community? Or is it just what I want? So that's kind of how I view stuff at site. I have to work out every day, and if I don't do something, like a 1-mile run, I will kind of turn in, like, yeah, that's it. And I talk to my parents a lot, like probably too much. Wow. Probably my advice is to really view all situations through a cultural lens. Because if you don't do that, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to get very aggravated, frustrated, and confused. But if you just sit back and say, I had 3 months of training, what did this training tell me about the culture, and how is the culture affecting what is happening right now? And I think that if you just view everything through that lens instead of the Western lens or the American lens or their whatever lens, it'll help. It'll help calm you down, and that takes practice. That is a skill. That is not something that you're just like, day one, oh my God, I'm so good. No, it took me, I mean, it's been a year, and I'm still like, okay, view this through the Thai lens, what's going on? If I could go back to the beginning of my service and give myself some solid advice, it would just be like, calm down. I know you don't know what that means at all, but just try to calm down a little bit. What books am I reading? So right now I'm reading The Goldfinch, and I'm also reading, I just finished a book by Ernest Hemingway, and I read before that a really good book called Narrow Road to the Deep North, about the Japanese Death Railway in Thailand. It was a really beautiful story. I really liked that. What podcasts am I listening to? So I'm listening to Politically Reactive, which is on hiatus right now. I'm listening to a podcast about the history of England, which is as dry as it sounds, but it's kind of cool to learn, like, yeah, I'm just a nerd. And I'm also listening to The Serial. Well, I have it downloaded. I haven't listened to it yet. So that's it. Thank you guys for listening. See you later.
Have you eaten yet?